Very quickly, it's always a pleasure to welcome Sam Herbert, who's the co-founder of 67 Bricks and a co-chair of the ConTech conference. I'm not sure if he'll like this, but I think Sam lives, eats and breathes transformation. Today he's going to focus on what the first 6 months looks like. So Sam, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Clive. Yes, as Clive said, I'm Sam Herbert, co-founder of 67 Bricks. Thanks for the introduction. And at ConTech in 2020, I introduced Samira and her 10-year digital transformation journey. 6 months on from that presentation, I thought it would be interesting to look at the challenges relating to the first 6 months of a digital transformation journey and some practical suggestions for how to deal with those challenges. I would say that the pandemic has further accelerated the changes happening in our industry, and 6 months on, it is even clearer that digital transformation is absolutely essential. I think it's become even clearer that information businesses particularly need to deliver on what I would call the second phase of digital transformation. The move from being what you might call a print online company, which has business models that essentially are replicated from the previous print world, to a new state, a digital, to being a true digital product company or a true digital information product company. And I think there are significant challenges facing the traditional publishers in the information industry right now. We are in a world of content overload and changing user expectations, and the existing business models are often no longer fit for purpose. It is no longer just, I suggest, the quality of your content that matters. It is the ease with which users can discover and use that content that is now just as important. And actually, if you want to move beyond that, if you want to develop new business models or new revenue streams, I think you need to think about and work out how to deliver, or first of all extract, but then also deliver the knowledge, data and insights held within our content assets. And we need to use NLP, machine learning and other AI approaches to extract that, and then to be able to, so that we can then deliver new value to our customers. To meet these challenges, I think we need to get better at extracting and using data, at understanding our users, and in following best practice product approaches. It is also important to recognize that digital transformation is hard. One of the reasons I think it is hard is because it is about people, processes, technology and culture. It is about change across the whole business. It is not simply a technology change activity. And when we're dealing with change, we're dealing with people. And people do not always find change easy. The first 6 months can be difficult, leading to some challenging responses and emotions. I think it is during this time that we will find out who is ready for the change and who can help us deliver the digital transformation agenda. It is also difficult because it requires a shift in how we behave across the organization. We need to move from command and control to build, measure, learn. In previous times, we've lived in a steady state to a large extent. And command and control works in steady state industries. But in a changing environment, we need a more flexible approach that is better suited to uncertainty and actually can give us the agility to respond to that uncertainty. It won't be plain sailing, and there will be plenty of bumps along the way. So I think some of the problems that might be encountered in the first 6 months include the fact that new behaviours will feel uncomfortable and there will be requests to return to old ways of working. Those feeling at risk or concerned about change will start to express doubts and perhaps even start to display different behaviours. Prioritisation is likely to become a very thorny subject. And focusing on new activities, new processes, new ways of working might lead existing functional leaders to express concerns about the ability to deliver on existing business models, on the ability to deliver on existing profit margins. Also, those driving the change within the industry, within the company, within the organization might be deemed troublemakers or the problem. It might also be seen as the chance for every department to get all of the technology changes they have been wanting for many years. And that will definitely not happen. That will definitely not be the case. So to complement my previous, more structured presentation, I'm going to share some more practical hints and tips to achieve success in the first 6 months of your digital transformation journey. First of all, get an early quick win. And I think it's important to be tactical in lining up an initial piece of work that allows you to deliver an early win. Identify the low-hanging fruit. Identify a project that is visible and delivers tangible value. Having delivered that success will then allow you to build some momentum for further projects and perhaps further more difficult projects. Create a clear vision. I think it is important to paint an evocative picture of what the future looks like. And I think this can go some way to dealing with some of the concerns that people have within the organization. If you can paint a clear picture that can draw them to the future, then they can stop worrying so much about the change that is happening. This vision is often more about the kind of type of organization you will be than the specific business models or the specific industries that you are going to deliver against. It's really about the kind of behaviors that you'll have. And so we can talk about those because we know we need to be more data driven. We know we need to be more user focused. We know we need to be more agile. So you can paint a picture of how the organization is behaving once you've achieved your digital transformation journey. I would suggest that prioritizing aggressively is absolutely critical. If there's anything that you need to do well, it's this. And if you're unable to do this yourself, then I would recommend getting an external partner to help. For every request you have, you need to start thinking about it in terms of how does it compare to the other things that we might do, or how does it compare to the things we already have on the roadmap? Because every project, every idea has some positives associated with it, but they have to be considered against the alternatives. Which project, which activity is actually going to deliver the most value? Because historically, and with digital transformation projects, swamping the technology team with high priority requests is the best way to make sure that they won't deliver, and they won't deliver good value. And I think this is part of a wider shift that needs to happen within organizations. I think you need to start thinking about technology not as a service provider, providing a service to the internal teams, but more as a peer or a partner in the value creation process. Getting support from the top. Digital transformation has to be supported by the most senior person in the organization, because it is about whole organization change, and this cannot happen unless the most senior person says that this is the most important priority the organization has. And that's because the change is difficult, and unless you have that kind of mandate, it won't succeed. Be user-led. We talk a lot about this, and being user-led sounds obvious, but it is easier said than done. What I'm really talking about here is the need to understand the user, what they care about, what problems they have, what do they do in their working lives. And that's different from saying we want to ask them, do they think feature A or B is most appropriate, or should we build product A or B, or what do you think about our product? Users are typically pretty bad at answering those kind of questions, or at least the information you get from asking those kind of questions isn't actually very useful. But if you get a detailed and deep understanding of who they are, what they do on a day-to-day basis, how they use your product, what problems they have, then you can utilize that insight to drive new feature generation, new product generation. Work iteratively. Do small things well to develop momentum for change. Do one thing well and then deliver value from that. Then do another thing well and deliver value from that. This is great practice in and of itself, but also it's about enabling and allowing the team to learn and improve processes as we go. So you can learn from the first iteration and you can improve processes, because I guarantee from the start the processes won't be correct or won't be the best they can be. Next, and following on from that, actually, I think we need to become learning organizations. We need to get comfortable not knowing everything and being willing to ask questions. I think this is a particular challenge that we have in publishing, actually, the need or the assumption that everyone will know the answers to things. I think a great place to start here is for senior people to visibly ask questions, and perhaps questions that they feel are stupid. Because what that does is it allows everyone else within the organization to get more comfortable with asking questions. And that's absolutely critical on this journey. And because if you don't learn, we're not going to improve, and we're not going to change. Ask for volunteers. Let people come to you to get involved in the digital transformation process. These are the people who enjoy change and will help drive the project forward. These are the people who have actually been waiting for something to happen and will jump on the opportunity to work with you on this. And they will also be the people who will then bring people along with them and help drive the momentum for this change. Base decisions on data. What I really am interested in seeing here, or what would be great to see, is conversations in the corridor where people are just automatically starting to bring in the facts, the data, the evidence associated with a particular discussion into every conversation. And this will take a little bit of time, but you can start that process straight away. And you can actually ask the question, do we have the data? Do we have the evidence to back up this decision? And actually that's going to drive two behaviors. One is about actually obviously improving decision making, which is really important. And hopefully decisions will be driven naturally by data, and therefore you'll be able to make better decisions. But the other is that it will force us to understand which data are we missing, what data are we missing, and then it will make sure it'll enforce the process of gathering and managing that data. Because within the digital transformation process, I would suggest that one of the core work streams is the digitization of the business itself. The process of gathering, capturing, and turning everything in the business into data. And so by forcing ourselves and by at some point requiring that all decisions are backed up by data, you can very quickly start to understand where are we missing data, and where would we previously been just basing this on instinct or previous knowns, where actually we don't have the data to back up that decision. So those are my short summary of quick hints and tips. I think the new Kodak moment is that moment when you realize that customer behaviors and preferences have changed so dramatically from your assumptions that it's too late to change. The purpose of digital transformation is to ensure that publishers, organizations within the information industry do not become the next Kodak. Or at least that's our reason or drive for pushing a digital transformation agenda. So I was talking about this subject with a well-known industry analyst called David Warlock, and he responded by saying, you are defining the difference between going digital, making content available online, and being digital, building your business as a digital workflow with the author-researcher experience at its center. How publishers react to this challenge is a matter of their survival. And I couldn't agree more with that statement. So I hope that's been useful, and thank you for listening.